Joining me now is Marwan Bishara, Al Jazeera senior political analyst. And Marwan, I know you've been keeping a close eye on developments right throughout the day and the evening. The relationship clearly closer than ever before between the US and Qatar. What does that mean going forward?
Well, look, I think listening to Kimberly go on the figures and the vastness of the deals that have been signed, and I think that's certainly been the nerve of this visit, making deals and trade deals, investments, and so on. But I think behind that, there's a driver, at least when it comes to Washington, and that is replacing realpolitik with, let's call it, real économique. So in the sense, this wasn't just about trade per se. It was about Trump as a president putting the emphasis, the preference, the priorities of his administration in economics rather than politics, rather than geopolitics, in the sense that it's not geopolitics that is driving his economic agenda, as say under Biden, but he's actually driving his geopolitical agenda through his economic approach to, in this case, the Middle East. So you see that the politics of the relationship with Israel, for example, is being sidelined in favor of the economics of the relationship between the United States and the Gulf countries. And hence the leverage being used is not political per se, it's economic. And hence the Gulf countries with economic power are able to sit on the table with the American president, a leader of the world superpower, and talk about geopolitical regional issues like Iran, Syria, Gaza, and so on and so forth, and get, for example, a decision passed on the question of Syria, whereby, once again, it's economics that weighs in, not politics or geopolitics in terms of the relationship with Israel.
Marwan, I want you to stay with us because there have been developments on other fronts as well, because sources have told Al Jazeera that US President Donald Trump's special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, met with an Israeli delegation in the presence of Qatari officials in Doha on Tuesday. Now, according to sources, Witkoff also met with family members of captives still being held in Gaza on Wednesday. Earlier, Witkoff told our diplomatic editor, James Bays, that discussions on Gaza have been positive.
Is this about the humanitarian delivery or about another ceasefire?
It's about all of it.
So how hopeful are you of another ceasefire?
I'm hopeful that we're just going to do good things for people here. That's what I'm hopeful for.
And on the other thing, if you don't mind me asking, in terms of what might happen in Istanbul, any news of whether President...
I'm equally hopeful there too.
You think President Putin will turn up on Thursday?
Oh, I don't know about that, but I'm going to turn up, and the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, will be there, and we're there to participate in a peace process.
And what would you say right now, given all these efforts, just make it very clear for us, to the people of Gaza right now who are suffering? There is imminent famine, according to the UN. There are children dying. There are women dying. What would you say to the people of Gaza right now?
I'd say it's a tragic situation, and we're here to make it better. And I think we're going to accomplish that.
Okay, Marwan, what do you make of his comments? And we also heard the Emir speak earlier about Gaza as well.
I just heard an interview with the spokesperson of the Qatari Foreign Minister. They seem to be quite optimistic about a renewed energy, if you will, in the negotiations. I would make an educated guess, but underline guess. It's not analysis, it's a guess, but an educated one, that perhaps the Netanyahu government is deciding that it does not want to be left behind, and that Trump, who is making it clear that he is totally indifferent to the agenda of the Netanyahu government when it comes to war and peace, that perhaps the Israeli leaders want to catch up with Trump, and that perhaps there is a potential for a deal. I think there is a sense, and I think in Israel probably they felt it like the rest of the region has, is that everyone in the region, including Iran, including Syria and Turkey, including Egypt and Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, everyone in the region wants to move on, wants to have some sort of a stability, wants to end the genocide in Gaza, the bloodshed, the killing of children. And there's only one obstacle, and that is Benjamin Netanyahu, who continued to insist on continuing the war, and just 24 hours ago said there will never be an end to the war unless 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And he's been urging for a war against Iran instead of a deal with Iran, and certainly been attacking, invading Syria instead of allowing Syria to unite and prosper. So there's this one man, this one party pooper in the region, and he's clearly being detested by the rest. And now perhaps President Trump is at least making a bit of a distance between him and the Israeli prime minister. And I would say perhaps it is time, after all these years, after all that bloodshed, after being indicted by the International Criminal Court, after being sought after by the courts within Israel itself, after failing on October 7 and beyond and after being responsible for genocide, for Netanyahu to be stepped aside or at least be taken to The Hague or put in prison in Israel.
Marwan, as always, thank you so much for your analysis. Marwan Bishara, our senior political analyst.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.